In this week's image, we are going to be doing a couple of things with this. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to drop on a layer. Here, I've just drag and dropped this from another folder, and this is an Adobe stock image. I'm then going to choose a blend mode for this one, and I think screen is going to be the best for this, and perhaps I'll bring it back slightly in the opacity as well, just to around about there. Now, I don't want any of the fake snowflakes over the model's face, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer here, a reveal all layer. I'm going to take a brush, going to change the brush color to black, which will hide anything that I want to hide. I'm going to take the brush up in size, and I'm just going to paint over certain areas. So you can see, because of the blend mode, it actually changes how the image looks as well. So let's just take it out, not too much. If I want to bring some back in, I will take the opacity down, press X on my keyboard and change the brush to white and start to paint some back in. I just don't want them over her face at all. I want the face to be clear. Now that I'm happy with that, I originally opened this image from Lightroom. I'm going to take it back into Lightroom, but before I do that, I'm going to flatten the layers. Layer, flatten image, and this is our resulting image. Simply go File, Save. Now that we're back in Lightroom, I'm going to edit this image in black and white. Now, there won't be much difference with this when I get to my final edit, but it will let you see the process that I normally take when I am editing black and white. So the first thing I'll do is go up to Profile, and I'll go into my profiles, and we have monochrome. I have more in here because of some of the plugins that I have, but these other ones here are available in Lightroom and Camera Raw. And you can go through these to get the effect that you want. For this tutorial, I'm going to set it on the black and white red filter. And then close. The next thing we're going to do is go in and balance the image slightly. So I'm going to pull the highlights back. Going to lift the shadows ever so slightly, the whites back again. So I'm quite happy with everything here. Now, I'm editing this as a black and white image, so I'm going to go into the black and white because the information was recorded in colour, and I'm going to tweak just a few areas in this. For this edit in particular, I'm not going to work with the mask of the person. I'm just going to use individual masks to emphasize this image. So the first one that I'm going to add is a linear gradient, and I'm going to take that up here, just to about there. I'll hold down Shift on my keyboard and just keep it vertical. I'm also going to soften this mask slightly, and I'm going to do that by bringing it back. I'm not looking about anything that's going on here or here. I'm basically focusing on the model. I'm going to bring that back slightly as well. Let me go back up and drop the exposure further. Just to about there. Now, I have the option of intersecting this mask with the subject. And that happens. That may be nicer for this style of image. If I step that back, it allows you to decide with this. Next mask I'm going to create is a radial, and I'm just going to take that in there, and we're going to work with some of the highlights up the top. Take that to about there, knowing that most of the effect will happen in this inner ellipse, with the rest just fading out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the highlights back just to about there. Perhaps push the contrast, which will have an effect in the highlights, but not too much. And perhaps bring the shadows back slightly as well. Going to do the same down here. Going to create a new mask, radial gradient in there, so that it doesn't work onto the background. I'm going to intersect this one with the subject. And I am going to bring the highlights back to see what that's like. I'm also going to push the contrast to create some depth. That will take that area in and hopefully punch these just ever so slightly. It might not be enough though, perhaps about there, and perhaps lift the exposure slightly. Each time I'm doing this, I'm looking at the image visually just to see how it's looking for me, because you can see we've got hot spots going on round about, but these are going to hopefully add to the final effect of this. Next mask I'm going to add is another radial gradient in here, and this is just on the model's face. So I'm going to take it up a bit to about there. I am going to increase the highlights slightly, and you can see what happens when I do that. So this is just going to be very slightly, 1, 2, perhaps. I'm going to lift the shadows just in about there, leave the exposure. I'm going to take the whites back just to see what it's like. No, I quite like it at 0. I'm now going to go in and I'm going to add some texture, tiniest bit of texture and the tiniest bit of clarity there. And if I show you that mask, so this area here shows you what is being affected. It's strongest here, fading out to here. Turn that off. The next mask I'm going to create is a luminance range. So I'm going to choose that, and this time I'm going to draw over the entire image like so. And if I turn that on, you will see that it's created a mask over the entire image. And what we are going to do with this one is we are going to crush the blacks slightly. So within here, in our curves tool, I'm going to click once, twice, 3 times. And I'm going to drag this up slightly, and you'll see the blacks beginning to crush. If I go too far, you see that happens. So we need to be careful around this area. Normally you're looking for it to be horizontal with here, but each image is slightly different, and some areas within the image as well will be different, because if you keep watching down here, you will notice that some of the snowflakes, if that's what they are, begin to pop through. So I'll show you that again. They're beginning to solarize here, or the solarize, the fake solarize effect. So I'm just going to crush these slightly to about there. And you'll notice up here there are no blacks in this image anyway, but that gives me the effect that I am after, and it also allows me to create a mask that affects the entire image without affecting the previous edits in here on an individual basis. That for me, I am quite happy with. 99% of the time when I am editing in black and white, I will apply a profile first. And that is simply because the profile applies a conversion to the image data, similar to how a camera processes RAW files, whereas a preset is a collection of specific editing adjustments that are then saved and applied, and they will have a different effect on your image, or should I say on each different image, depending on how the image has been recorded in camera. So a profile I would highly recommend if you are editing in black and white. Hopefully you get something from this quick edit. Thanks again for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.